Michael, 48 hours on, just over or just under from the game on Tuesday night, and just understandably, I know you're going to say about moving on, but you've got to be proud of everything that happened that night.
Yeah, I think we know we needed to go and get 3 points, and we needed to work hard and we needed to be on it, and I thought the lads were fantastic throughout. Tactically, they were great. Effort-wise, you could see they gave everything, but really proud of them to get the 3 points. But again, it's still in Oxford's hands. We need to do a job Saturday.
One of the aspects that perhaps gets overlooked in games is how you manage a game, how you're perhaps more streetwise, and it's something you talked about very early coming into the club. And I think it's very noticeable away at Reading and away at Oxford. You can see that in your team now, I think.
Yeah, I think generally young players don't necessarily do those things quite well, but they are teachable. And I think we've taught this group to do that and to be able to see out games, and I think you first saw that in abundance away at Burton with 10 men, and it's part of the game. You know, if we're doing and slowing things down or speeding things up, I think it's just part of football. Yes, there's a line to it, but if we can manage games out, I think you would call it. I think that's really important.
You've been talking to one of your players today, obviously in Ethan. How do you feel he's developed? Do you feel he's somebody? I think when we talked before, he's somebody you feel has improved since you coming to the club.
Yeah, I think he's top. You know, I think he's developing all the time. He's getting better. I think every performance he seems to get more control. And my bit for him was like have an impact on every game. Look after the midfield well and clear up bits, and then we've been working on starting pass forward more and have more forward passing. But I think he's been, phenomenal in the last few games in terms of how he's controlled midfield. But he's got a big future ahead of him. He's still only young. People forget he's only 22 still. He's got more and more headroom for growth, but at the minute he's performing really well.
We shouldn't forget Rico Hackett picking up that injury on Tuesday. Is that realistically him for the season?
Yeah, he went straight to the hospital, so dislocated shoulder. It's one of those injuries where it's either really bad and it could be season over, 10-12 weeks to fully recover, and it might need surgery. It might be something that we can manage till the end of the season. It's definitely not this weekend. So it's one of those injuries we might be able to get him back next week, but he's got another scan and see a specialist tomorrow before we go. But it's a shame because we lose another body there and another body in midfield, but we've just got to regroup and go again. And I thought he started the game like a house on fire actually, Rico, so it was a bit of a shame to lose him so early.
I will come on to the challenges given you in a second, but there's a thing off the pitch, obviously, with the FA announcing about the charge yesterday. What's your reaction? I think you had until today as a club to decide whether to appeal it.
The charge at Wigan?
After the Wigan game, yeah.
The Wigan game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's difficult, isn't it? Because there's high emotions and, we've got to sit down as a me, Liam, Jez, and sit down and decide what we want to do. But I thought there wasn't much in it, so I'm a bit disappointed about that. But yeah, we've just got to sit down and see whether we appeal it or not. I think we will appeal it, definitely, because I thought they were more of the aggressor in that situation than ourselves. But there's quite a few of these things that go on throughout the season. But yeah, let's see.
We've had another FA decision today that does affect Lincoln and all football clubs. I don't know if you've picked it up because you've been training today, but we've seen replays disappeared, and I can think of amazing moments of replays. I can think of Nathan Arnold scoring against Ipswich. Sorry about that, Howard. Nathan Arnold scoring against Ipswich in a playoff right at the in a replay right at the end. What's your take on losing replays?
Yeah, it's difficult. I've only just seen it now flip across the screen, so I haven't really had much thought about it in detail. But I think it's disappointing for clubs like ourselves and disappointing for lower league clubs. But I have worked on the other side of the fence in the Premier League where I can understand to some degree. But I think first and foremost with those decisions, you have to protect your history and culture and how you do things in England, whether it's elite or non-elite as we would call them as clubs. So for me, it's a little bit disappointing. But again, it's out of our control, really.
Let's get back to the game to come, and it's a fascinating game at the weekend. Clearly, you've got a lot to play for, but also they've got a lot to play for. They've got pressure on their players as well.
Yeah, it's a huge game, and I think since Darrell's gone into to Cheltenham, they were on an amazing run to get from the bottom of where they were, and they went on a really, really big run to give themselves a chance to be in this position where they're still surviving. They obviously went to Burton, and we've seen that game at the weekend and got a 2-1 win. So this is going to be a really tough game. It's a really hard place to go anyway. We know the sort of style that we're looking to expect, and it'll be a totally different game to Oxford, completely different game to Oxford. And it's going to be, we expect things to be thrown at us, and we've just got to try and manage the game, but also when the game's settled, show our quality really. So there's no easy game left, especially for teams that are fighting for survival. They're sometimes the harder teams to come up against because they've just got to give everything to get that extra 3 points to try and stay in the league. So yeah, we know we have to perform, we know we have to be on it, and it's going to be a really tough game.
He's done an incredible job there, hasn't he? When you think of what he inherited when he came to the club, where they were in the table and points, etc.
Yeah, I think if he manages, it's interesting because I think if he manages to keep them up, for me that could be the job of the season. Even to the extent where you see, I know we always, John Machino, and congratulations, has won the league, and there's some good managers in this league. But when you see the job he's done, if he manages to do it, that could be the manager of the season for me because of where they were and how far they're off at the bottom and where they've got to. It's it's a fantastic job. So we know they're well coached. The assistant's the ex, Northern Irish boss, so they're a good coach team. So we've got to be on it as well as how we plan and how we execute the plan. But again, if we perform and execute the plan like we did on Tuesday night, we'll be okay.
And obviously you've got an issue now at one side of your wing back. It looks to us from the outside that it's going to be Jack most likely. He's going to have to come in because no Dylan, no Rico.
We're trying to figure out really at the minute. We've been watching lots of games yesterday and today, and we've just got to work the jigsaw pieces out to try and give us the best chance to put a team out there that we think can deal with their threats, but also give us enough going the other way to cause some damage to them. So that's a fine balance at the minute because, as you know, we've got Dylan missing because of the red card, Rico out, and then a few other bodies still out. So we're still patching up a little bit at the moment, but we've just got to get the balance of the team right.
When you're at the hotel on Friday night, is the iPad or the telly keeping an eye on Sky? Stevenage minus Steve Evans against Oxford. Obviously, a big impact potentially on Lincoln's season.
Yeah, of course. I think we'll be watching it. I think we'll all be watching it in some form or fashion. I don't think we'd sit down and not watch that because hopefully the night before we've finished training, we've got a few tidy up unit meetings, but generally at that point we'll be watching that game for sure.
And once again, it sold out from Lincoln fans for Saturday, sold out already for the Portsmouth game. I thought on Tuesday night, I always get a bit of stick for saying how great the fans are, but I thought unbelievable really on Tuesday night. They just kept going for the full 90 and I think they got under the skins of a few Oxford people.
I thought they were amazing. I know we keep saying how good they are, but I actually thought particularly Tuesday night, they just didn't stop, and if anything they were louder than their fans, and at the end when you heard the place erupt, it was all down to the Lincoln fans. So yeah, thank you for the travelling, thank you for the support throughout the 90 minutes. No matter what the score, you could hear them, and it does push the lads, and it's going to be a tough place to go to Cheltenham, so we're definitely going to need those fans to come and help us out. But yeah, just want to say thanks really up to this point, and because I know it's not easy to get to these places, especially twice in a week. But yeah, hopefully we can do the job for them.